Latin from Scratch course, 12th class, third declension, adjectives, or adjectives of the third declension. Of course, you are supposed to have studied and learned the previous class with the main theory of the third declension. Now we are going to be using this theory from the previous class to study that theory applied to the adjectives. And after we study this theory for adjectives, we already know everything we have to know about adjectives, or at least about the declension of adjectives. Remember that we saw these 2-1-2 adjectives. Now we are going to see the adjective of the third declension, and then the fourth declension and the fifth declension don't have adjectives. So that's pretty much everything we need to know about adjectives. Later, of course, we have to study the comparative, superlative, etc., but that's going to be later. Okay, so and here you see more classifications, more groups, etc. No, in this case we have these 3 endings, 2 endings, 1 ending, consonant, stem, stem. No? So we already know this, consonant and E, but now we have to be studying what exactly means these 3 endings, 2 endings, 1 ending. Okay, now you have to pay attention, because this is something that if you don't get it at first, later you won't know what we are talking about. Okay, so it is important that you pay attention to this. So we find 3 types of third declension adjectives according to their statement. So again, the statement, the famous statement. And now, if you remember, like in all the nouns, the statement is nominative and genitive. But then, in the 2-1-2 adjectives, we said that the statement is not nominative and genitive. We said that is nominative masculine, nominative feminine, nominative neuter. Remember, no? So this, now it's kind of a mix. Okay, so pay attention. Pay a lot of attention. Okay, so we have 3 endings. So for example, Keller, Kelleris, Kellere, which is quick, fast. For example, from there, accelerate, no? Then, for example, 2 endings, omnis, omne, everything, all. And then we have 1 ending, which, of course, there was a typo here. No? So it's, for example, vetus, veteris. And now you might be wondering, okay, here we have 3 endings, 1, 2, 3, 2 endings, 1, 2, and here 1, 1, 2. Why? We will see. But let's do this in the correct order. Let's begin with 3 endings. So the statement of these adjectives consists of the nominative singular of all the 3 genders. So pretty much like the 2-1-2 adjectives. Okay, so Keller, Kelleris, Kellere. So this is masculine, feminine, neuter. Okay. All of them are E stem. Remember that when we were studying the theory for the nouns of the third declension, we said that the E stem is not so common in nouns, but it is quite common in adjectives. Okay, so all of them are E stem. However, do notice that the masculine and feminine are different in the nominative vocative singular. Remember that we said that in the nouns, we said like masculines and feminine are always the same. Here, no. Okay, here there is a difference. And then the ablative singular does end in E, always. So we have the table, the famous table. And now, again, masculine, feminine, neuter, this is singular, and now masculine, feminine, neuter, plural. And please look at this, okay? Let's focus first in masculine, feminine. From the accusative, all of it is the same. Of course, notice that the ablative always finishes in E, okay? E, Kelleri, Kelleri, Kelleri. It's not Kellere, 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 okay? Kelleri, Kelleri, Kellere. Then, this is the same from here, from the accusative, it is the same all the time in the masculine and feminine, but then in the nominative and the vocative, they are different, okay? So, Keller, Keller in the masculine, and then Kelleris, Kelleris in the feminine. Then, of course, neuter, Kellere, Kellere, Kellere. So, all the 3 cases are the same. Now, you might be wondering, how do we know that the masculine is the feminine is eris, and the neuter is ere? Because it is always the same pattern, okay? In these kind of adjectives, it is this same pattern. And how do we know that this is the same pattern of this adjective, whatever? Dictionary, okay. Then, in the plural, masculine and feminine are exactly the same. Also notice that because it is istem, the genitive plural is ium, not only but ium in all of them. And then, of course, in the neuter plural, we have ia, ia, ia. Okay? So that's the three endings adjectives. Three endings because it's 1, 2, 3. Now, we have two endings. And why is it two endings? Because the statement consists of the nominative singular masculine feminine. In this case, it is completely the same. It is totally the same, both in the singular and in the plural. So it is masculine feminine on the one hand, neuter on the other hand, and the same for the plural. Of course, again, two endings adjectives are istem. So we are going to have e here, we are going to have ium, and we are going to have ia. And then if you see, for example, fortis forte, like it can mean either brave or strong, mostly brave, okay? From here, Spanish fuerte, strong, but in Latin it's not so much strong, but brave. Okay, whatever, that's the vocabulary, we are in theory, okay? So you see that the pattern is always the same, is e, fortis forte, omnis omne. So why is it two endings? Because is e. One ending for masculine feminine, another ending for neuter, quite easy. And now, this is the most confusing part, so please pay attention. One ending. They are the only ones which can be consonant or istem. So it can be any of them. And now, why are they called one ending? Let's see, and please pay attention. These adjectives are called like this because the nominative singular is the same in all three genders, okay? But, there are buts, okay? However, some cases do have different endings between the masculine, feminine, and the neuter, accusative singular and nominative accusative plural. We are going to see it in the table, okay? Now, despite being known as one-ending adjectives, their statement has two forms. So, how is that possible? We are going to explain it. Because the statement is like nouns, nominative and genitive singular, okay? So, the statement of these adjectives is the same as the statement for nouns, nominative and genitive. But then it is called one ending because we, like the nominative, and we know that in adjectives we focus a lot on the nominative, no? So the nominative is the same for masculine, feminine, and neuter. We are going to see it in the table. And now you might also be wondering, okay, so if the statement is the same, it is the same two forms as in the nouns, nominative and genitive, how do I know from the statement of a word if that word is a noun or an adjective? So just from the meaning. So for example, if it is vetus, which means old, we know that is an adjective, just that, okay? And we already said, one-ending adjectives can be either consonant or istem, but most of them are istem. So pretty much like most of the nouns of the adjectives are istem, because three endings and two endings are all of them istem, and also in one ending, most of them are istem. A small number is consonant stem though, among which the most frequent ones are vetus veteris, we already know, old, pauper pauperis, poor, then dives divitis, rich, and princeps principis. Sometimes we can translate it as a prince, but most of the times it's not going to be prince, but someone who is the most important in whatever sense. So depending on the context, we are going to have to translate it as a principal, prince, like the boss, whatever. Okay? So let's see. We have vetus veteris, vetus veteris. No, this is the statement, vetus veteris. But then it is called one ending because vetus vetus. It is the same, vetus vetus. So that's why it is called one ending. That's the reason of the name, vetus vetus. One ending for everything, but then the statement is this and this. Okay? I know that this is kind of mixed concepts, but you don't mix the concepts in your head. Okay? So, vetus vetus, then Veterem, veteris, veteri, vetere. Of course, because it is consonant stem, it is e. And then here we have vetus, 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 because it is neuter, and we know that in the neuter it is nominative, vocative, and accusative is the same. Okay, so we see that here it is different. So this is the same, this is the same, but here it is different, and also here it is different, and here it is the same. Okay, of course, not ia, 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 no, because we are in consonant stem, and not ium, because we are in consonant stem. And now E stem. We have prudence, prudence, prudentis, which is, I mean, this can be translated as many things depending on the context. So for example, it can be smart, intelligent, careful, totally depends on the context. But okay, the reasoning behind all of it is the same. That was the meaning. Now the reasoning of the morphology. E stem, so we are going to have E. We might even have sometimes E, okay? But theoretically, it should be E. We might find E, but theoretically, E. Then ia, 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 ium, ium, and then the rest is the same, okay? So we are not going to be repeating what we have already said a few times. And now, with this, we finish like 99% of what we have to know about the third declension, which is a lot, And I think now we go back to the main page of the module and we practice analyzing and translating sentences and text.